Welcome back, traders. Second portion of our show, market movers. There's always something moving in this market. Dennis, where should we start?
Might as well start with MasterCard here. Joel reported earnings just after 8 o'clock here this morning. Strong beat. Stock is trading up 22 points right now. 356 after closing at 334.30. Looking at that 52-week high, 361.94, that's probably going to come into play. You got to imagine it's probably going to test that. Sometimes what these things do is they take out the old 52-week high by a buck or two, and then they pull back, so everybody's like, new 52-week high, you got to buy, so it kind of suckers people into the breakout, and then they pull back from there. Wouldn't surprise me if something like that happened.
I don't think it's going to get there today, Dennis.
You don't think it's going to get there? I think it's going to get there. I think it touches it. So I'll take a bet on you, Joel.
Okay.
361.94. I think it touches it anyway. So.
Okay. I think it's going to have a hard time getting through 360 today.
We got to start writing these down more. I think you don't mention the ones that I win.
I don't think you want to. Okay. Just a number to keep in mind. While we're up, 22. I mean, that almost classifies itself as a roaring short, in and of itself. I keep an eye on this 360 area. If I try and maybe give it a little short there, or if I was long, I think, you'll see some long liquidation before that 52-week high. And, as far as coming back on the downside, who knows? I mean, there's a lot of gaps to fill in here. But 360 is my swing number for that stock.
All right. I like 360 area for resistance there as well, but I still think it's going to touch that 52-week high. Anyways, moving on, I think we should talk about Visa too, because Visa is up solidly here, having a sympathy move, 92.30 after closing at 90.03, so symbol V. $90 has been huge on this thing. It was a low yesterday. It's bottomed out there 2 or 3 times over the last couple of weeks. The $90 areas has just given great support. Top of this range has been 90, the 95 area. High 94 is 95. I know we broke through it there, 95.87, but call it 95. That's where your resistance has been. We're kind of in the middle here at 92.30. You got any numbers in the middle of those, Joel?
No, not really. Not really, Dennis. That's an excellent call there. 90 settled right near there. Was the low, and we popped. So, yeah, this thing could trade the daylights between 90 and 95 today.
Time Warner had earnings here this morning as well. Not getting too much of a pop. Initially, it popped up to 34.5, just one trade there. Now it's settled back in here, 34.15. It is bid there as well, so it's up 30 cents. It was a 3-cent beat, so they look like they're somewhat liking the numbers here on Time Warner, but there's not a lot of action there too. I'm only seeing 800 shares traded, so action is muted, meaning it's hard to really gauge when the action's that muted in the pre-market of where the stock really wants to go just from pre-market action. Obviously I put 36 up there before, for resistance before the numbers came out. That's probably not going to come into play. If for whatever reason it did, I do see 90,000 shares up there at 36 too. So high 35s, you're going to have major resistance all over the place on this thing. I just don't know if it's got that much oomph to get that high today, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, as long as this stock holds this 33, that's called 80. I mean, we hit 67 yesterday. There was another low at 85. As long as this thing holds above 33.70, it's not that much above that. I think it's poised to go up and at least test this $35 level. But like you said, not a lot of action in this stock today.
Goldman Sachs is upgrading Nike today, Joel. NKE stock is trading up almost $2, actually over $2 now, $96 after closing at 93.88. So getting a good lift on that upgrade here this morning. Old 52-week high is 97.68. That's a little ways away from here. I like 95 for a swing number. I don't know why on the charts, but I just feel like that 95 area is a decent swing number area. So if we start to pull back through that 95, then, obviously that could be an area where it could give you some initial support unless it breaks through there, Joel.
Yeah, I think 95.43 will be really your first stopping point on the downside if it gets there. That was yesterday's high. And then, of course, going back on the upside, I'd use that 97.68 as the stock approaches all-time highs.
Here's one we talked about 3 months ago, Open Table. I remember you even telling a little story about the whole thing. I think it was trading up in the 50s or even 60s back then when we were talking about it before. Maybe it was mid-60s. So this thing has just had a terrible 3 months here again. A lot of these, like, I don't know the concept on this whole thing. Oh, we'll do dinner reservations for you. PE's 54, which seems ridiculous right now. $37.90 after closing $5.20. I wouldn't buy it here. You know, some people might say, oh, it was $110 6 months ago, so it's cheap at 37, but man, you know, we see what happens in stocks like Netflix. We've seen what happens with these high flyers that all of a sudden lose momentum. They seem to just keep drifting lower. So at 37.90, I'm not even going to touch it. If it got up to that $40 area, I might actually sell it.
Okay, yeah, actually I can remember when we were talking about that stock, and that was in the July month when it went from 91 to 70, and basically I had made a reservation in northern Michigan at one particular restaurant, and then as it turned out, that restaurant was full, so the Open Table routed me to another restaurant that was owned by the same guy that had a totally different menu. And if I wouldn't have called beforehand, I would have walked into this fancy restaurant in like blue jeans and a t-shirt. And when I asked the people about it, they told me it was a glitch in their software. So this glitch, that obviously they have things wrong more than their glitches in their software. But a lot of other factors with this stock. But if you're talking about, you know, strictly the technicals in this stock, this stock is approaching some major lows here that it has not seen in over a year. So let's keep an eye. I was going to look, say, 37.09. That was taken out in the pre-market. We did get down. Let's see how low did we get. We got to 37.10. So, I'm sorry. 36.60 was the low in the pre-market. So let's use the 36.53 to 36.60 as real good support. After that, I'm looking at 35.58. But I just got to imagine that some shorts might be using this opportunity to cover some positions.
Looks like disaster stock of the day here, Joel, might be Diamond Foods, DMND. Stock is trading down 11 points right now. After closing at 64.12, it's trading 52.87, $50 on the chart here. We bottomed out in that area back in February a little bit. We cut through it in March, but $50, it sounds like a good psychological support number too, so I think you might find some buyers in that area. The news actually, they were buying Pringles from Procter & Gamble, and that's just getting delayed. They say it might get delayed as much as 6 months. That seems like a pretty good sell-off for a 6-month delay, but, you know, I'm not a fundamentalist. I'm a technical trader, so looking at the pure technicals here as big breakdown, I think you might find some buyers at 50, Joel.
Yeah, I mean I'll have to. I'm sure there's more to that story than we're reading, but we're just flopping on the pre-market low here at 52.87. The stock just doesn't look like it wants to bounce at all, so it's probably a good buy here. Just got straight down from $64. You know, I'd try use this 58, you know, as a swing number. If I did get long early, I'd look to be exiting in the $58 range.
EOG, another stock that had earnings here. It's trading up 89.43 after closing at 85.88. So that stock is getting a great pop here this morning. Going over to the chart here, I like this 90 area as a little bit of initial resistance. I don't think it's cut through there. Actually it did. 90.50. It cut through just 100 shares cut through there. Trading up at 90.50 in the pre-market, but it's kind of settled here in these 89s. So I'd use 90 as an initial resistance, but I don't think that's huge resistance there. What do you think, Joel?
You know, I can always come up with some kind of idea or something about a chart, but when I look at this chart here, I just have no idea where the stock is going here. We gapped down yesterday, went to 83.88. Bounce closed at 85.88, and now we're back at 90. So, you know, I see 93.50 is a 2-day high. I doubt if we're going to get there. I see 83.88 is yesterday's low, and I doubt we're going to get there. So this one is just in the middle of no man's land.
JDS Uniphase reported there last night. Stock is getting a good lift here, up almost 7%, up 77 cents at $12.25 after closing at $11.48. Here's another stock, $10 was huge support. We bounced significantly off that over the last, 3-4 sessions. Now we're looking, it's pulled back and it's going to retest the top of this move here, this high of this move. Just looking at it here, looks like about 12.85, Joel. So maybe get a little bit of 12.72. Is that what it is? 12.72. Yeah. So maybe that gives you some initial resistance. What else do you think, Joel?
I totally agree. It hit 12.60 in the pre-market. That 12.72 is just kind of sticking out there like a sore thumb. So we're still 50 cents away from there. So that should be excellent resistance. If you're looking to short, that might be a good area or exit some longs. Coming back on the downside, we got quite a bit of real estate before we get to the close at 11.48, but get below $12, and I think this stock will start giving back some of its pre-market gains.
Well, I was given disaster day of the stock to DMND, but then I'm just looking at my filters here again. I hadn't looked at them in a few minutes. SYMS, that is your disaster stock of the day. It's down 43%. SYMS Corporation, trading $4.40 after closing $7.67. I'll let you, Joel, do some technicals and I'll try to figure out what's happening there.
Well, first of all, is that the clothing store?
SYMS?
Yeah.
Let me go find out. I'm not a big SYM apparel retailer, so I think you're probably right, Joel. You got that one right. Hey, we do know some fundamentals.
Okay, just got one number for you folks to look at before the stock goes out of business here. 422. That was a low back in March of 2009. We're currently trading below that. Use that as a swing number. Below that, I don't know where the stock is going to stop. It'd be interesting to see what the news that is associated with this move. But 422 just sticks out to me like a sore thumb as support.
Yeah, I'm looking at the headline here. I don't understand it. It says SYMS and Feline's basement file for bankruptcy. I don't think that's, it's trading 405, so I don't think it's going bankrupt here today, but, I'll have to go.
They own that Feline's basement and that's going under.
So one of their businesses, okay, so one of their apparel retailers it looks like that they own is filing for bankruptcy. So not them themselves, but, so that's like your news anyway. It's never good when it's never good when one of your businesses files for bankruptcies either. So they're not liking that. They're not liking that news. Not surprisingly, down 47%. Okay. Joel, we have so many movers here today. Obviously, keep an eye. We'll reiterate that fair value is up. You've got to add 8 points onto there. So 13.5 is where we're really trading up here today, not 5.5, because we had that move between 4 and 4.15 yesterday. So we got a lot of stocks trading significantly higher here this morning. Anything else you wanted to close with?
Just meandering around this 1230 level. I still like this 1227 and 1228 is, support to hold and make a run at the highs. But that's our show for today, folks. We'll be back with you tomorrow.